Hi y'all, welcome back to my shop. In the first episode we did on this chess series, we turned pawns. This week we're going to turn rooks. We're not going to turn one this large, but I want to use this as an illustration to describe a few terms. Rooks, some people call them castles. Rook is a more common term. This piece has got 4 crenellations. Some pieces have 6. 4 is easier to lay out. 6 tends to be a little more complicated. And since I'm turning a smaller set, 4 I thought was a good design. So I got this book by Mike Darlow on turned chessmen, published in 2004. It's virtually identical to one called Woodturning Chessmen by him that he published in 2008. The only difference is the cover. So if you're interested in getting his book, get the cheapest book you can. People have been turning chessmen for over 1,000 years, so you don't necessarily need this book, but I did find it interesting. It had some interesting stuff in it, including the terms. I learned more about, I think, terminology than I ever thought I would know. These are battlements. When you include these dip downs, these are called crenellations. The area in the middle of the crenellation, this part right here, is called a merlin, and it was typically slanted so they could fire down on the opponents from the battlements. The area behind the crenellations is called an allure, and if you've got these things are generally made out of large pieces of stone, these battlements, and they're called echelons. So more than you wanted to know about terminology on a chess set. So this is a piece we're going to actually turn. It's 1 3/4 inches long, again made out of Bradford pear. It's that same stylized design I showed you in the last episode. These are relatively easy to turn. The only tricky part is cutting these crenellations, and I'll show you how I do that. And typically I cut those first and then finish the turning. Size-wise, these things are just a bit larger than the pawns. Generally, they're about the same size, maybe a little bit smaller than the knight. The base is typically larger than the pawn and always smaller than the king. So let's get started. In the pawns episode, I indicated you'd drill both of these on a drill press, but after I did a few, I actually realized that for the small hole, after you turn the bigger one with a Forstner bit, it's easier for me to line this up in the hole inside here by using a hand drill, and you're only drilling a little over 1/4 of an inch. Okay, to cut the crenellations, I've already drilled the holes for the weights. Got it chucked up here, and I've got these cuts in my hand screw. I'm setting the height of the saw blade to a 1/16 of an inch, and I just happen to have these nifty brass measurements, so I can come in like this and just rub my finger and know that it's a 1/16 of an inch. You don't have to be that precise, but it's good to have a measurement system where if you don't do them all at one time, you can at least get one back to where it should be. Okay, I clamp it in here with the drill side up. Come over here, get it lined up, corner to corner. Move this block to support it a little bit. I looked at different sawing methods, and this appears to be the best. I didn't have a hand saw that would cut that wide. I didn't want to make multiple cuts. This is very hard wood cutting in grain. I didn't want to do it on a bandsaw, but that's an option. Develop a jig and make multiple cuts with the bandsaw. This just seemed to be easier for me. Put it in on the mandrel and tighten up the screw. Remount the screw chuck. Now, I'm going to bring up a soft touch. I've got a plastic that just happens to be the size of the outside of our Rook on that top dimension, 20 millimeter. So the first thing we're going to do is rough it round, and I'm going to use this 3/4 inch spindle roughing gouge. Get the speed up to about 2,000. Just want to mention, you know, when you sharpen a spindle roughing gouge, the advantage of not bringing the wings back but having it straight across, so you can come in there and rotate it on the side and get a nice clean cut this way, almost as if you were using a skew or a scraper or something square. So we're going to bring it down just a little bit more. My pattern calls for the foot to be 27 millimeter. Right now it's at 28. It's almost there, and I've got it sized where it's just a bit bigger than this and a bit smaller than that, and I can eyeball that. Now I'm going to mark these critical dimensions. The bottom of the design with the thin parting tool and the center of the neck. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this down to match this, and I'm going to switch to a skew. And first I'm going to make a marking cut, a V cut here. Not to the full depth, but gives me a target to shoot for. That neck is 12 millimeter, and this is 20, so I'm going to come in here and just start taking it down. Being aware of those crenellations, I've got to be very careful. Ease into the cut. I don't want to get to corner the heel into one of those crenellations if I can help it. So I'm going to anchor, bevel, lift, cut. I'm going to pick it up just behind. I can just see the shadow line for that merlin. Okay. Switching to the thin parting tool, I'm going to go ahead and cut in about a 1/16 of an inch. Just by eye. Now I'm going to pick up the cut with this 1/2 inch skew. Anchor bevel cut. Let's check that dimension. I'm going to go ahead and switch to my vernier calipers so I can set this permanently to 12. Getting close. I've got just a bit of a groove I've got to cut away. And it looks fairly flat except for right there. I've got just a bit to go. I'm going to go back to that V cut. And that gives me a target to shoot for on this straight cut. Now I'm going to come in here and with a scraper, negative rake scraper. Just to refine where those two surfaces meet. Let me show you how. I'm not going to spend a lot of time sanding on camera. Before I got to do that though, we've got to hollow this out, so let's go ahead and accomplish that. We're going to hollow out about a 1/2 inch diameter. And I'm going to use my 3/8 inch detail gouge for that. Cutting just at center. Good. Easy does it. With the flute straight up, that's at 12 o'clock. With the flute up this way, it's facing 9 o'clock. I'm going to cut at about 10 o'clock, entering straight into the center and sweeping a little bit, going very careful, very slow. Okay, let's see what we got. It's just about there. I've cut away the saw marks. Now I just got to square up that shoulder a bit. To square up the inside shoulder there, I'm going to use this as a scraper because I don't have a scraper that small. This is a 1/4 inch. Here's a close-up of that 1/4 inch beating and parting tool made out of 1/4 inch carbon cold roll steel from a set I made in a workshop for making ornament hollowing tools. And I think you can see that in it. So it works out fairly well as a negative rake scraper. Raise this up just a bit. Bring it back just a bit. And just come in straight until I get to the bottom, just to square up that wall a bit. This is negative rake, so I keep this square and I'll be in good shape. Give it in slightly from the center to the bottom. Alright, let's check it out. Looks good. Let's check the measurement. I want it to be exactly a ½ inch. And it's there. Now we're ready to sand. I just want to show you a couple of techniques on sanding. The key thing on the sanding is don't get rid of your detail. So for this I want to go flat, and to do that I'm suggesting you wrap it around a flat piece of wood like this, so you don't use your fingers to shape it. So come in, and that way you'll get a nice flat surface. Slow the speed down a little bit. And that smooth that outer side. Now, to get these sides, the key is you want to keep these nice crisp edges. You don't want to round over this edge or this edge or this edge. So to do that, you want to use that piece of wood, and stopping where this band meets and being very careful not to damage or round over the inside there. So we're going to slow it down and just move back and forth, get it. And now we're going to come in from this side. And now we're just going to do a little bit of hand sanding. Get rid of any tool marks. And basically that's the process. We're going to go through all the grits. I'm just going to carefully fold this and do the inside like this and like this. And we're going to go through all the grits, and then we're going to come back with some U-Butte Triple E and polish it up real good.